although in industry, hours of working is needed on our day-to-day living. But longer or beyond on time of hours in working are prohibited in many companies. So that's why 8 hours of working should not be exceeded because it's violated their normal labor contract in their company. So 8 hours of working is enough to operate an establishment for their sake of workers like health and mental stability and other effect if they're overtime on their work.
Hours work shall include all time during which an employee is required to be on duty or to be at a prescribed workplace. All time during which an employee is suffered or permitted to work. Under the implementing rules of the Labor Code, the following general principles should govern in determining whether the time spent by an employee is considered hours worked for purposes of this rule. All hours are hours worked which the employee is required to give his employer regardless of whether or not such hours are spent in productive labor or involve physical or mental extension. An employee need not leave the premises of the workplace in order that his rest period should not be counted. It being enough that he stop working, may rest completely, and may leave his workplace to go elsewhere, whether within the outside the premises of his workplace.
Article 85 of the Labor Code. It is the duty of every employer to give his employees, regardless of sex, not less than 60 minutes time off for their regular meals. An employee shall provide a rest period of not less than 24 consecutive hours after every 6 consecutive normal days. However, the employee shall consider the employee's preference as to their weekly rest day based on religious grounds. Ang Labor Code ng Pilipinas ay isang batas na naglalayong protektahan ang mga karapatan ng mga manggagawa at empleyado sa bansa. May mga karapatan ang manggagawa gaya ng tamang pagsahod, oras ng trabaho at mga benepisyo. Ang Labor Code ay mahalaga para sa mga manggagawa at empleyado upang maprotektahan ang kanilang mga karapatan at magkaroon ng maayos na kondisyon sa trabaho.
Night shift differential discussed under Article 86. And sinabi dito, ang time na sakop ng night shift differential fee is between 10 p.m. up until 6 a.m. in the morning. So if you are working on a night shift from 10 p.m. to 6 a.m., you are entitled on a night shift differential pay, which is not equivalent to not less than 10% of your regular wage. So that is computed every hour. So meaning to say, kung sumahod ka every hour ng 100 pesos, so dapat may night shift differential pay ka ng 10 pesos kada oras sa tuwing nagjo-duty ka from 10 p.m. to 6 a.m. in the morning.
Time work. Overtime work may perform beyond 8 hours a day, provided by the employee is paid overtime work. An additional compensation equivalent to his regular wage plus at least 25% thereof. So, ibig sabihin nito, kapag tapos ng 8 hours a day na trabaho ng isang worker is pwedeng bayaran kapag nag-overtime siya ng isang oras, 2 oras, babayaran to ng company or ng isang establishment ng business.
Article 96, Service Charges. The Article 96 of the Labor Code of the Philippines ay nagtatakda ng mga alituntunin tungkol sa mga service charge na kinokolekta mula sa mga service, lalo na sa mga sektor ng hotel, restaurant at iba pang establishments na nag-o-offer ng services sa mga customer. Ayon sa batas, ang mga service charge na nakokolek ay dapat ipamahagi sa mga employees na tumatanggap sa mga tips o nagbibigay ng direct service sa mga customers. Ang pagkakabahagi ng service charge ay dapat na nakaayon sa mga patakaran ng kumpanya o sa mga kasunduan ng mga employees na dapat malinaw na nakasaad upang iwasan ang mga hindi pagkakaintindihan. It's important na ang mga service charge ay hindi dapat ituring na kapalit ng minimum wage. Ibig sabihin, kahit na ang may mga service charge na nakokolekta, dapat pa ring matugunan ng employer ang legal minimum wage para sa kanilang mga empleyado. Layunin nitong tiyakin na ang mga empleyadong nagbibigay ng serbisyo na kadalasang umaasa sa mga tip at service charge ay makatanggap ng nararapat na kabayaran at mga benepisyo. In this way, ang Article 96 ay nagbibigay ng proteksyon sa mga employees at nagsisiguro din ng mga incentives sa mga establishments na nagbibigay ng magandang serbisyo sa kanilang mga customer.
Sexual harassment is recognized as human violation. Sexual harassment can happen to anyone and anywhere, such as in schools, workplaces, public transportation, and even online. Sexual harassment can be a traumatic experience that affect a person's physical, emotional, and psychological well-being. But did you know that there is a law in the Philippines that aims to protect everyone from sexual harassment? Presenting to you the Republic Act 7877 or the Anti-Sexual Harassment Act of 1995, an act declaring sexual harassment unlawful in the employment, education, or training environment and for other purposes. This act, which is consolidated of House Bill number 9425 and Senate Bill number 1632, was finally passed by the House of Representatives and the Senate on February 8, 1995, and was signed into law on February 14, 1995.
Is an action of malicious people that are prohibited at the law or unlawful in any circumstances and places that part or not part of government. Okay? Any individual has shall no excuse on government and must face the consequence, especially if there are cases of sexual harassment. Many cases has been proved that sexual harassment has been happening around in Philippines and other countries too. Schools, establishment, and places. And I would like to encourage you all to watch some documentaries about sexual harassment for further example and sites.
Where under Section 1 of this Act is stated that this Act shall be known as the Anti-Sexual Harassment Act of 1995.
Go. Is a part of Philippine constitution wherein women and children and other people who have guaranteed full respect of human rights have majorly right to protect themselves in any circumstances of danger that impose of people, like killing, threatening, and especially sexual harassment. This section is providing people a better and secured life from threats or danger that are imposed or imposing. Like I said, if any individuals violated this section or impose a danger on other people, it must be go through court to emphasize or tell what happened to seize the suspect in the right way of government law action.
RA 7877 of the Anti-Sexual Harassment Act. In Section 3 of this article, intended to present in witness those with expression limited to work, education, and training dismiss that in the slow power relation in important to the element of authority, influence of moral accountancy against the victim in the work, education, and training element where does demand on demand sexual power from the victim even if they accept of make the victim. For explain, if you are forced by your boss of work to have sex with him in exchange for a permission that is present by law, this is different from BAWC and other laws because your abuser but have moral accountancy of fitness other you. This law does not cover sexual present of act of your classmate forever.
Section 5. The liability employers, head of office, and educational or training institution refers to the legal responsibilities regarding the safety and well-being of employees, students, and trainees. This liability can arise from different situations, including workplace injury, where the protocols are not followed in the factory. Also, including in the school, if the students got hurt in the class because the teacher didn't supervise properly, so the school can be held liable. Lastly, the training program. If the trainee is hurt because they are not taught on how to use equipment properly, the program institution can be held responsible. So, understanding the liability of employers and institutions is very crucial for ensuring safety and legal compliance and also protect the employees and students from harm.
Section 6 Independent Action for Damage. Nothing is nothing in this act shall preclude the victim of work, education, or training related sexual harassment from instituting a separated and independent action for damage and other alternative relief.
Go. This provision, if a person violated it, it be penalized by imprisonment of not less than 1 month nor more than 6 months, or will be paid in all costs or damages at least 10,000 or more than that, 20,000. It in discretion of court.
Section 8. Separability Clause. If any portion of provision of this Act is declared void or unconstitutional, the remaining portions of provisions hereof shall not be affected by such declaration. The purpose of the separability clause is to prevent an entire contract or law from being invalidated just because one part of it is found to be invalid. This helps to ensure that the parties involved can still benefit from the parts of the contract or law that are valid and enforceable.
Go. All law, decrees, order, rules, and regulation or part thereof inconsistent with this code are hereby repealed or modified accordingly. This means that any existing laws or regulation that conflict with the provision of the civil code are automatically repealed or amended to align with the new code. This ensured that the civil code serve as the primary legal framework for civil matter in the Philippines.
Section 10. Effectivity Clause. This act shall take effect 15 days after its complete publication in at least 2 national newspapers of general circulation. The law will become effective 15 days after it is fully published. This gives the public time to become aware of the new law and prepare for its implementation.